pop culture curator here. So good to see you all again. I'm excited. It's Monday evening, which means we're back for another episode of Lost in Space. And tonight, we're going to be covering, which in my opinion is one of the best episodes of the entire series. Episode number 5, The Hungry Sea, which originally premiered in October 13th of 1965. This will be the last episode that was edited from the original pilot, No Place to Hide. So, first thing I wanted to do is say hello to everybody in the chat and thank you for your patience. I know we've been running a little late tonight, so really thank you guys for hanging in there. I may be a little short of breath tonight. I may be muting a little bit because I've got a cough, but I'll do my best to keep those at a minimum. And I especially want to thank my esteemed panel guests. Thank you all for being here. Gorilla, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And
Yeah.
Jill, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me today to talk about this fun show.
It is my pleasure. I'm glad you could make it. And PvP, of course. How are you doing, PvP?
Doing okay. I felt a little tired. It was a long day at work today because I had to go in at 8 in the morning because I'm working 8 hours on Mondays now, right? So instead of just doing an afternoon shift, I got to go in like bright and early because, if I don't go in like at 8, I won't, probably be able to make the Monday night streams. So yeah. So it's
Oh,
going to take a little bit getting used to getting up that early.
oh yeah, I'm
Getting
sure it
up at
will.
getting up like 6 or 7. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite an adjustment, but I appreciate you taking your time out to be here.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't miss it because this is an episode I really like too. So I wanted to be here tonight.
Okay, yeah, same here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say hello to Mikey Sue's 4. I snickered at your joke too, LOL. Good to see you, Mikey. Wait a minute. No. Hold on. I skipped a whole bunch of them. Lemon Pie says, greetings, Pop, and greetings, Lemon Pie. I'm so happy to see Lemon Pie here. Phantom Boomer says, pop culture curator to Lemon. Good to see you, Phantom Boomer. And Phantom Boomer says, howdy. And Phantom Boomer says, Lemon Pie, and he's waving to Lemon Pie. And Phantom Boomer says, no worries. And I don't want to read my own chat. That's foolish. PvP says, hi, everybody, or hi, everyone. And Lemon Pie says, Phantom, and applause. Stop reading my own. I need to. And Phantom Boomer says, howdy, Pleasant Valley Pickers, yay. And Lemon Pie says, Picker. And PvP says, hello to me, Pop Culture. Hello, PvP. Glad you could join us. And Pleasant Valley Pickers says, Phantom Boomer, hey there. And Pleasant Valley Pickers says, hello, Lemon. Lemon Pie says, cheers all. And Lemon Pie says, return to the curator. Yes, I missed the last couple streams, but I promise I'm going to do my best to make up for that. So I will be on Jill's stream tomorrow, and we will be having our Tremors stream tomorrow night in honor of our good friend Nemesis of Eden's birthday, and we will be doing our Gilligan's Island stream with Gorilla's Random Thoughts. I keep thinking Gilligan and Gorilla Gilligan. Okay, Mikey says, hello, fellow Danger Will Robinson's fan. Mikey, I'm so glad you could join us. Welcome to the channel.
Yeah. Welcome,
And
Mikey.
yeah, Lemon Pie says, good evening, Mikey says. And Mikey says, I just spent 45 minutes rewatching this episode. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, Mikey. And Mikey says, hello, Lemon Pie. Lemon Pie says, I'm having PBJ sandwich and a beer. Dinner of bachelors. That's an interesting combination. Hopefully it's not Bud Light. Mikey Sue says, what time for you, Lemon? It's almost 10 p.m. Eastern time here in Scarborough, Canada. Ooh, wow. We'll try to get through this as quick as possible, guys. I know it's late for some of you. Lemon Pie says, same here. I am in Texas. Yes, you guys. Well, Texas is 2 hours ahead of me. I think in Texas right now it's 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Central Standard Time, and I think Jill's also in Texas.
I am.
Mikey Sue, yeah, so lucky to be in Texas. Mikey Sue says, I just had homemade pizza, lime yogurt, and a few Coke Zeros. Oh, that sounds yummy. And Mikey says, wifey's awesome. Well, that's always a very good thing. Mikey says, so we both got 11 minutes left. Okay, cool. Mikey says, Lemon, I almost thought you'd throw in a ramen soup too. Yeah, sometimes I do that when I'm too lazy to cook something. Lemon Pie says, I can I can do better than that. And Mikey says, I miss really good sugar stuff. Susie and I both suffer from type 2 diet. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Mikey. And that is a shame. I'm such a huge chocolate fan. I would be suffering. I wasn't. I was actually surprised the doctor didn't add diabetes to the list of my ailments. And Mikey says, but we managed quite well, so thank God. Exactly. Thank God. Exactly. Yes. We're glad you're here. That's what's important. Lemon Pie says, we'll be there if I'm not careful. That's right. You always got to be careful. Mikey says, moderation is the key to everything, my new friend. Absolutely, it is. Yes, I completely agree. Lemon Pie, that's why I only went to a patch a night of beer. Just kidding. And Mikey says, no, it's cool, man. Lemon Pie says, oh, I meant for me, LOL. It was a joke. And Mikey says, everyone has their own idea of how to moderate their life. It took me a long time to realize that life fact. I know when I was younger, I was a little more daring as well. Mikey says, I snickered at your joke too. LOL. There we are. Oops. Sorry. Is this your first time on this channel? Says Lemon Pie. Mikey says, I stopped drinking and other liquors after January. This is ridiculous. I stopped drinking and other liquors after January 1st, 2006. My wife. 8 years now. I've been sober and happy.
Pop culture
Well,
creator, your
congratulations.
sound.
Go ahead, Jill.
Oh, okay, now you sound better. For a minute there, I thought your sound was cutting out.
It was. I had to mute a couple times because I was coughing. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Well,
okay, that
I
makes
can
sense.
continue reading the chats for you there. And congratulations on
That would be
Mikey.
great. That would be great, Gorilla. Thank you. Because
Yeah, I can
it's hard
share
for me
with
to
that if you need, Gorilla. Just let me know.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's hard for me to sustain the breath without coughing, and for you guys, it probably sounds like I'm cutting in and out.
Well, it
So
sounds
yeah,
like you're
keep going.
struggling
Thank
for
you.
breath there.
That
But
too.
yeah, but congratulations on that, Mikey. Good job. And yes, on Pop's channel, yes. Lim Pie says welcome. Mikey says thank you. Lim Pie says congrats on that about the drinking. Mikey
Yeah,
says thank
very
you very
cool.
much. I appreciate that. Appreciate. Lemon Pie says this is a great channel. Hope you enjoy. I was an avid fan of Life Lost in Space. Says Mikey.
All right, we got another fan. Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
welcome you. Well, join the family.
Yeah. Mikey Sues 4 watched it faithfully, along with TOS. Well, Mikey, if you like TOS, sub to Antiderivative Jill. She does a review every Tuesday at 12:30 Central Standard Time.
Yep, tomorrow we're doing
Yes, thank
Friday's
you.
Child, and if I had to kick my Stream Elements bot in the butt, it should be posting links here pretty soon, hopefully.
Sweet.
If not, I'll post them manually.
Great.
Yeah, I seen her post a couple.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Lemon Pie says, I am only becoming more familiar through these streams, though I, of course, knew of it before. Lemon Pie says, I have seen probably 80% of all Star Trek. What's the T in Roman numerals? Oh, it means TV.
Right, TV.
Oh,
It's okay.
Mike
Is it because
says, well,
nobody watches TV anymore?
no, I seen the V there. I was thinking like Star Trek 4 for some reason because they did all the Roman numerals there.
That is true.
Mm.
There's your
And there's
stream
Stream Elements.
And Mikey says hi to the bot. Welcome
Hi,
and
bot.
hello to Resolute Germ.
Hello, Jerm. Good to see you there.
Lim says, heck yeah, what a panel. And
I
Lim
know,
Pie
right?
says, hey, Resolute. Mike says, hey, Pop, Resolute, Jill, PvP, everyone here.
Hi, Mikey.
Hi, Mikey.
Hey,
Good
Pop,
to see you.
take it easy on yourself tonight.
I will do my best. Thank you.
And hello back to you, Mikey. Hello, friend Gorilla. Herc says, hello, hey there, Herc. He says, hello, panel and chat. And he says, Lemon Pie. And the Scurvy Eliminator here says, hey, Herc. And he says, thank you, folks. Hello, Phantom. Mike says, thank you. And Phantom says that hurt 130. No worries, we are night owls. He says, hey, Phantom Boomer, I am feeling better today. Not so tired. I hope you feel better too, says Herc. And Herc says, I am in Texas, West Texas.
and
Ain't
proud.
that ain't that all like flat and grass out there in West Texas?
Well, they've got oil, that's for sure.
I thought that was East Texas that had the oil. But
Oh,
anyhow,
I don't know.
Phantom Boomer says Herc 130. Tired. If I had to go to bed now, I'll be up at 1. Yep.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah. Then he says 1/1/2015. Thank you guys and gals. Here's the
Congratulations.
Phantom Boomers channel, so make sure to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then Mikey says will do. Then Limit Pie put in manually anti Spartacus's channel.
Thank you,
Thank
Lemon
you.
Pie.
And
Hey,
Mikey
my
says
name is back to normal now.
Oh, congratulations, Jill. Glad to hear that.
Thanks.
he said 4 wave. All right. Though I got something. No matter, no what. Even though this really hurts and is killing me deeply, deeply on the inside, I do got an A for this episode. It's
Oh,
killing me
you
on the
do.
inside.
Wow.
Oh
It's
boy,
really
that's
killing me
killing
on
you.
the
You just have to, it's not used. You're not used
yeah.
to that, I guess, huh?
And I didn't have to do the math on it. They used freedom units instead of that commie metric system.
And you watched it on your phone, of all things.
Well, it's either that or not watch it at all.
No, I know, but you might as well watch it on a postage stamp for that matter.
Yeah, my screen's pretty big actually. It's
Whatever
about
works
half
for
the
you.
size. It's about half the size of my computer screen.
Well, as long as you got to watch it, that's what matters.
Yeah, I can still see everything just as good.
All right. Okay, so are we ready with the to get started? I guess Jill has. By the way, everybody, I want to throw a shout out and a big thank you to Jill. She does a wonderful job. She puts these slides together, and that's very time consuming and a lot of work. And that means a lot to me, Jill. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I enjoy the visual aids. It helps with the storytelling.
Yeah, very cool. Um, so here we have the Hungry Sea, and we left off last week, as you guys know. There were giants in the earth, where the Robinsons dealt with giants, obviously, and towards the end of the episode, they realized that their planet was going to be freezing, so we all decided to disembark in the chariot and head south to try to avoid the deep freeze, leaving Dr. Smith and the robot inside the Jupiter 2. While heading south, they discovered this mysterious underground cave with these remnants and ruins, and the kids get trapped inside one of these rooms along with Don and Judy, and they're yelling for help, and we have Professor Robinson and Maureen cutting them out with the laser torch. And that's where the last episode ended, and this one begins.
Yeah. Now I got a question. What was the point of them going into those rooms again?
They just discovered the ruins and they were just exploring. I guess
Oh,
in reality, the family, when they first got in there, the dad should have said, "Okay, everybody stick together. I don't want anybody wandering off."
so they're
But I
running
guess
it. They're running into dangerous cold and all that, and they got the whole reason for heading south. But yet they decide to stop and sightsee, just about as bad as Voyager heading
I
straight home.
well, I think the reason why they went in there was hopefully shelter from the cold, perhaps.
Oh,
Because remember, if you remember last week when they were driving into the cave, there was like a lot of lightning and storming. So that's what I'm
okay.
guessing. Maybe it was to shelter from the elements. And
Yeah,
let me get my
and it
credit.
was an ancient city. You never know what kind of resources might have been in there.
Yes, exactly. Or what you may learn.
Now, did anybody else look at the title of this and kind of predict exactly what would happen?
Mm, I don't know. I hadn't thought about that.
I looked at the title, I could just guess what was going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, it is pretty descriptive, the title for sure. Yeah.
The teleplay was by William Welch, story by Simon Winselberg. Additional scenes were written by Winselberg and Irwin Allen, and it was a script polished by Anthony Wilson. directed by Sobe Martin, produced by Buck Houghton. And you guys might remember his name from Twilight Zone. With Jerry Briskin, executive producer Irwin Allen.
Yeah. Oh, Lemon Pie says you're welcome, Jill. Uh, Mike. Oh, Mikey says I gave a B plus only because Dr. Smith didn't act much in this episode.
Well, and this is also the episode which you guys will notice that they're taking a lot of the rough edge on him being a bad guy off, and they're making him a little more of a comical character. And as you can see here in the stills, they've introduced his new uniform where he's dressed pretty much the same as the family. Before this, he had those the Air Force overalls. In fact, there's going to be a scene or two here coming up later on from previous episodes where he's still wearing those overalls with the zipper pockets.
So he's identifying less with his military background.
Yes, less of the military background. And I think it's a combination of him softening, obviously, because the network wanted him to soften. And he also, as an actor, knew that he was going to. In fact, I have a quote here, the interview with him. Harris told interview Ian Spelling, the original Smith was a deep, dark, scowling villain, and I hated him, quite honestly. I thought they might have to kill me off in 5 episodes because he was just so damn rotten. I didn't like the idea of being unemployed again, which is a dreadful state of affairs. I decided to take a chance, and I am a chance taker, and sneak in the thing for which I am, at the risk of sounding immodest, justly famous. And the main thing I snuck in was comic villainy, which I adore. So this is the episode where we start to see that. We start to see also the poking back and forth between him and the robot. And this is also the first episode where we get one of his alliteratives, where he calls the, I'm not going to give it away, but he calls the robot a certain name. And of course, we'll see a lot more of that in the future. Filming began on August 30th. Or actually, it ran from August 30th through September 3rd, 1965, a total of 5 days. At the point when this episode was being filmed, no director had brought in any episode of Lost in Space on schedule or on budget. But Sophie Martin would be the fourth to try. And like Leo Penn before him, Martin was only given 5 days to film this episode. With a fair amount of footage harvested from the pilot film, the studio figured that he should be able to do it.
5 days.
Would-
Usually, don't they have a week?
Nope. It
Yeah,
was,
I think most shows, Star Trek usually had, I think, 6 or 7 days, didn't it?
nope. It was 5 days. Anything past that is overtime.
Oh, I always thought they had closer to a week. Oh well.
Sometimes when they ran, they did. Sometimes when they did run overtime, especially Star Trek, like we were talking about Arena, when they had
Mm.
episodes that were filmed on location, they tend to run overtime.
Ah, right.
And we'll cover a little more of that tomorrow for Friday's Child. I'm excited. Anytime we have an episode with Vasquez Rocks, I can't wait. So we have here Dr. Smith getting samples from the atmosphere and talking about the temperature with the robot pretty much. And he doesn't believe the robot's data because the data. Oh, TNG, curse you for making me do that. But the function of any computer is to draw a conclusion from provided data, which seems to be, according at this point, the temperature seems to be continuously dropping. And I think if I remember right at this point, I think it's 30 below zero Fahrenheit.
I
And
got a question
51
here.
degrees inside the ship. Go ahead.
Do we know how long they've been on this planet, roughly?
They played it like it's continuous. So they haven't given us there's not like a start date. But I'm guessing maybe about a week. What do you guys think?
Yeah, good question. I don't really not sure, but
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like
yeah.
Because I got some issues then later on down the road here.
it doesn't seem like that much time has passed, though. I suppose actually. So, but yeah,
Yeah, they
it's
definitely.
just kind of continuous, with the cliffhangers every week. You kind of almost it kind of almost feels like it's a continuous, you know, uh, uh, um, you know, unfolding of the plot, right? So.
Okay, okay, then I'm gonna have an issue later on. I have multiple issues at the end of that
They did
episode.
establish. It established a few times that it was nighttime. They went to bed, and then they showed the next day, so we know that they're getting rest.
Yeah. Okay, we got
Mm.
quite a few chats here also.
Thank you, Gorilla.
All right, Stream Elements is Oiler Greg's channel. Then
Cool. Check out
Mike,
Ola
then
Greg.
Lemon Pie put my channel in. Thank you, Lemon Pie. Phantom Boomer says could have been some good jerky in there. Yeah, they did have a
Yes.
mummy in there. They did have a mummy.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, maybe corn nuts. Says Lemon Pie.
The teeth.
Mikey says, by the way, fun fact: Felix Cilia, who
Felix
played
Silla.
cousin It on Adam's Family, also played the little alien ape in this episode, future episodes. Oh, so he played my cousin, huh, Mikey?
Well, I know who Felix Silla was. Silla, but are you talking about Debbie the Bloop? That was an actual monkey. Unless you're talking about an alien, I'm trying to think of a little alien.
Yeah.
Unless you mean the cliffhanger for next week's episode.
Well, I didn't even
But
see
please,
it. But
please fill us in on that, Mikey. I appreciate it.
Yeah. He says, corn nuts, says Phantom Boomer. Mikey says, play. Lemon Pie says, it blew my mind when you told us the actor is from the Bronx was it. He pulls the Effie Brit villain so well.
Right. Jonathan Harris, Dr. Smith is from the Bronx.
Yeah. And Lemon Pie says, Hoffcast? I don't know, Streambot. JK. Mikey says, all I know is that this episode BNW was filmed 15 days before I was born, September 27th. Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. Very, very cool.
Yeah. Just in close-ups.
Okay,
Then Mikey
gotcha.
says, they used actual trained ape for running and other shots. Mikey says, Basila did the close-ups and interactions.
Very cool.
I I enjoyed this part of the episode because the robot explains again that the output is only as useful as the input provided, and any fault of the programmers, because a computer is going to do exactly what you tell it to do. But in this case, it's neither of them are making a mistake. It's just that the anomalous readings are because of the orbital positioning. So that's
Right.
kind of fun.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a fantastic orbit. It takes a while for it to sink into them exactly what's going on.
yeah. No, I thought that was kind of funny here. The robot says, no, my science is definite. You gave me the stuff. I calculated this is definite. He goes, well, you're wrong. It sounds so familiar to what's going on today. Depending on what the science is and who it is, people will believe it depending on who it is and what the science says.
Yeah, I agree. There it is.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
the first. That's the first alliterative. My
course, Smith.
pusillanimous puppet.
Smith will never admit that he's made a mistake or wrong, though.
No, but he
Yeah,
does
but-
admit here.
Look at that
There is that
expression.
scene, there is the scene where he picks up the chess piece, and he says, "What's the point? You'll beat me in 2 moves anyway."
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So,
yeah.
but no, that's just basically what
I have to be right back.
saying.
Go for it,
He
Jill.
won't admit that he's wrong, but but he says, you gave me the data, this is what it says, the robot, that's kind of reminiscent of what's going on today.
Yes, it is, especially with chat AI, which is highly faulty, but unfortunately, a lot of people are relying on it. So
Well,
not only
that's
is it faulty, but it's a very scary thing. It's going to be when people rely on it too much.
well, it's kind of funny. I don't know if you watch Anton Petrov, but he did
Yes, I do.
He did that. Did you see the one where he tested the Chat GTP AI video?
No, I didn't. I need to check it out. I like his videos.
Yeah, because he tested it. The first generation of Chat GTP, it made a lot of mistakes, and he corrected the chat, But then when he
Can you correct it? Like when it's wrong, how do you correct? You just tell it the truth.
yeah, you told him no, but it says, and then it goes, oh, I may have been mistaken.
Yeah, but does it actually change its programming when you do that? Because that means anybody can tell it anything.
Well, yeah, it does. Well, it might change its stuff or reevaluate what you're trying to ask and all that. But
All right, go ahead.
But as each generation there, because they're on Chat GTP 4 or something like now.
Yeah.
Now it keeps getting more and more accurate the more generations down the line it is.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying. That makes sense.
yeah, so it's kind of interesting watching his video. If you guys, if it was worth the 20 minutes watching it.
Yeah, he's got a great channel. He talks about science and the planets and the universe. I really like it.
Yeah. Okay, let's catch up on chats while we're waiting for Jill.
Thank
Here,
you.
here's Pleasant Valley Pickers channel. Yeah, there he does. You got a lot of music on here, there, don't you?
Yep, pretty
Yeah,
much.
we'll talk about
Pretty
that.
much
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Check out PvP's channel, everybody.
Hey, Mikey, you said you like the you got a lot of music and stuff on your playlist and that you share with people. PvP has the same thing on there. You two might have a fun time going back and forth on music there.
Oh, that's cool.
Hmm.
And then Gago, Gigo, what I don't know.
Jigo.
Yeah. Mikey says, and the robot still had the instructions to kill the Robinson family. Old data still in the system. Yeah.
Yes, in fact, I'm glad you pointed that out. But that's also they want to make sure they made it clear that he told the robot to delete those instructions, so that no longer is in the robot's programming.
Yeah. And Smith did say three moves, and that's the one of those 3 move chess gambits. Then Mikey said, yes, we got 50s to 90s music.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, it's a nice range. And day two filming was mostly shot here on the interior of the upper deck. With this is day two, Tuesday, August 31st. It was another efficient day with Martin filming from 8 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. They were again on the upper deck of the Jupiter 2, with only Jonathan Harris and Bob May needed, as Martin covered all the scenes involving this new comedy team. One scene filmed when the Robert warmed coffee for Dr. Smith was a last minute addition. The episode was timing out short, and this new scene was added to make sure that there would be enough footage to fill out the 15 minutes needed for the broadcast.
Hmm.
Huh. So they must have had a lot of commercials back in the day.
Oh,
Actually, no.
not very many compared to. Think about it. This was 50 minutes out of 60. Now, what is it like? Maybe 42 minutes out of 60.
44.
Yeah, I
God,
remember
that's what I
back
watch TV. Jesus.
back in
Well,
the '60s, you'd
well,
have a commercial break like maybe a minute long would be probably the average.
oh,
Uh
So they
huh.
weren't very long. They weren't very long generally, the breaks.
yeah. Yeah. Well, nowadays you're getting back to the hour long stuff, but that's because it's streaming, not on TV.
Well, the
And
episode. Are you talking about an hour long without commercials?
yes,
Okay.
and I'm gonna have to have you read this one because
Forgive my
Mikey doesn't.
ignorance with the word pusillanimous meaning.
Yeah,
Full of
because
yourself, I believe.
Mikey doesn't know the rule I have for big words like that. What did I tell you about using those big words around me?
Showing a lack of courage or determination or timid. Yes, we'll be getting a lot of. It's another thing I really like about the show because I love language and I love vocabulary. And the show does push a lot of that. And it makes you wonder what a lot of these words mean. So I really do like that. That's another thing that seems to be sort of lacking in today's
Yeah.
movies and TV.
I think that kind of turned my kid off a little bit with some of the words that Dr. Smith was using because, but the only reason he kept the earbud in his ear there is because it is either that or total silence in the car.
Okay, gotcha.
Uh,
Well, if you're anytime your son asks you what does that word mean, tell him that you'll tell him a little later after the show because tell him you don't want to ruin the show by talking through it.
No,
So
I just
later on, I'll tell you what the words mean, and then we can always fill you in, and you could tell him
yeah.
instead of turning him off. You don't want to turn him off from every time
No,
there's words like that.
but he won't ask me what like a word means. He'll just ignore it.
Well, at his age, that's normal. When I was his age, I just ignored it as well. So nothing new there. Nothing interesting. Nothing wrong with that.
Alrighty, Mikey says 4 showings a lack of courage and determination. Timid, said Phantom. Ah, a timid nature. Mikey says, "Thank you, Phantom." Mike, wait till you get to my bill. This episode didn't have a lot of sea footage, hence the title. I'm guessing. Now, when they said the Hungry Sea, I was guessing something more along the lines is, which we haven't gotten to this part here, but we'll. Oh wait, here's the picture. They're crossing the frozen sea. They
Right.
did this so stupidly. There, in the this was so stupid. And trust me, I grew up on lakes here, and I I do a lot of fishing stuff.
Now remember, they said it was 135 below at this point.
It's 125. Yeah, but
Okay.
thing though. He said, I'll be surprised if it's less than 20 feet thick in places. Okay, but what if there's a methane pocket underneath what some of that ice there, and it's only a foot thick at that spot where there's a methane pocket?
Well, remember they have a scanner aboard though, Chariot.
Is it scanning the ice below?
I think so because later on they're able to see. I don't want to give away the plot, but they're able to see ahead of them what's going on when
Okay,
they're on their way back.
I thought scanning the surface, not the actual depth of the ice.
I think it might be doing both,
Oh,
but
okay.
they don't tell us in detail.
Yeah, see that's what, because whatever, like for me, for example, I don't care if it's been negative 30 out for 3 weeks straight. I'm not driving my car out on the ice because one is all our lakes around here have an aerator, so the ice is around those aerators is only ever a foot deep at the most there,
Right.
and
Um,
so. And I've heard too many stories of people putting their vehicles through the lake, and once you have all four tires out on that lake, you have no insurance.
Oh yeah. Not only that though, you better hope you're not sliding all over the place. I guess.
Well, no, you won't slide and all that, but you got, like, if you do drive out on, it's best to go out there and have someone tap ahead to make sure it's not thinning. But most people don't do that. If you keep it under 10 miles an hour, you won't slide around. And if you go above 10 miles an hour, depending on how thick the ice is at that point, it stirs up the water underneath, and it can cause vibrations in the ice and crack it too if you go too fast on the ice.
And I'm guessing sonar doesn't work with the ice, right?
Depending on how thick it is.
Gotcha. Okay, so this is
Because, like, your sonar won't penetrate 12 feet of ice, but it
right.
will penetrate like 3 feet.
So it depends on how good or how strong the sonar is.
Yep, and how thick it is.
Right. So like if you have the sonar that a standard fisherman has, that's going to be different than like what a military aircraft has.
Oh, most definitely. Oh, heck, a military aircraft, I think, would be able to penetrate 12 feet of ice.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So here we have the Robinson heading across the inland sea.
You're roboting real bad.
Yep. Push forward, heading south. Sorry about that. Let me check everything. But the Robinsons are pushing south. Let me know. Is it still messing up?
Nope, no, you're good.
Nope, sounds better now.
The Robinsons are pushing south and they're heading forward. They're not sure where the other end of the ocean is, but they continue their journey. And you're right, crashing through that ice would definitely be a danger, especially if considering they have no one to come to help them.
Yeah.
Mm.
And meanwhile, we cut back to the Jupiter, where we have once again Dr. Smith keeping himself entertained with the robot, getting constant weather reports. And Dr. Smith is the first one to notice that there seems to be an odd orbit in the planet, and that the temperature seems to be changing and going back up again. But I don't think that's going to happen yet until after they've already crossed the inland sea. I think it's once they hit ground on the other side and then they start pitching the campsite is when they realize that the temperature is starting to go up again.
Okay. Here's two that's relative to the scene though, but the second one's what to address though. But it says, in my opinion, I'm just surprised they didn't show as much frost on the Chariot or Jupiter 2 when they reached 125 degrees below zero.
Would it frost the windows if they were running a heater on the inside?
Uh, if it's on the inside, like if they have like a defrost type thing no. But if it like the heater's in the center, it might get frost around the edges.
Gotcha.
But he's asking, what was that? Just a simple edit error, or what's your ideas?
I'm guessing. Are you talking about them realizing that the temperature starts going up, Mikey?
I'm guessing it's the showing the frost on the stuff.
And also, Mikey, this is the scenes with the chariot and with the family and the inland sea and all that were all harvested from the original unaired pilot. And everything we're seeing here inside the Jupiter 2 with Dr. Smith and the robot is filmed new for this episode. So they're having to. That's another thing I was reading about in this book. By the way, you guys, I've been quoting from Lost in Space, the unauthorized biography of a classic sci-fi series by Mark Cushman, and it talks about the delicate balance of writing this episode, because they're having to interweave uh, the scenes from the pilot into the new episode, including the lines. And there's going to be a few mistakes here and there where we can see remnants from the pilot, like mentioned in the last episode where they mentioned they had ostriches. So there's going to be a few things like that.
Yeah,
I
I
thought it
remember
was
that.
I thought it was pretty well done overall, except for that we're worried about getting too cold in a spaceship. That alone is kind of weird because you're in space. It's
Yeah.
pretty cold in space.
I know, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah,
Well, actually, space is not as cold as you think it is because of the solar radiation emanating from the suns.
Oh, and then I guess it depends exactly where you are in space.
Yeah, if you're near a
yeah.
brown dwarf and all that, yeah, it's gonna be a lot colder than if you're like by our sun, and it's gonna be a lot hotter if you're by Betelgeuse,
Mm.
Makes sense.
because they and heck, Betelgeuse ain't even the biggest star in the star anymore.
and it looks like Phantom Boomer says they just didn't think of it, perhaps. And Mikey says not necessarily defrosting the ship was the robot's heated electricity, but yeah, edit mistakes. But yeah, you're right about that, Mikey. Yeah, because the ship defrosting, yeah, you're right. It's like like we were just talking about. In space, you think the ship would be able to, or you think the ship would be designed to be able to handle more sub-degrees temperature. I'm wondering, hmm, I'm wondering if they're looking. Think about it like this, okay? If it's like a car. Now, remember now, this takes place in 1997. But like, let's say you're in a car and it's cold outside. The heater's only going to work well when the engine's running. So, if Dr. Smith is inside the Lost in Space and the engines and thrusters are not running, that means the heater, according to them, is relying on their solar batteries. So maybe that's why it doesn't have the heating efficiency the same as if the ship was running.
That's possible. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
maybe.
But that's just guessing.
It's a good guess.
Okay.
That would make sense, actually. I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you can't just start up the ship, right? Because,
Well,
there's a whole lot of factors at play there.
the
yeah.
thing is, they hadn't even got the ship repaired at this point, had they? I mean, it was
Nope.
still basically broken. So
Yeah.
No, they're too they're too busy screwing around playing David and Goliath.
Well, that too, right?
It definitely wasn't a concern in this episode.
no, I do like the robot heating the coffee though. That was kind of fun.
Hey, the robot followed his instructions. The robot told him to heat up the coffee. He didn't tell him how to do it.
Right.
I
He didn't
think
tell him how hot.
I think it's
So
hilarious.
Oh, I was
I,
laughing. Oh, I was so laughing how uh, the robot was going, warm me up, warm me up. And he started doing the lightning thing. He goes, not me, you bumbling idiot.
right. Oh, and
uh,
another direction by the I believe it was the director to add more comic effect. Is you'll notice this is also the first time where the robot's going to start rolling its letters like right, like a Roger and that kind of stuff. You're going to notice a lot more of that this episode and future episodes, more than
So,
previously before.
So they're turning the robot to Hispanic then.
No, not necessarily. No, they're just highlighting the consonants.
Oh, because I know that like the Spanish, they're my boss when I was working at the Mexican
Well,
restaurant
there's a
there.
lot of language. There's a lot of languages that do that.
Oh, there is.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily make the roll sound, but he says rolling. Right. He does it like that.
Oh,
Instead
okay.
of just being cold, like data, yes, correct, danger. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, my boss always laughed at me when I tried to speak Spanish and he always laugh at my R rolling.
You got to be very careful because that could be mocking them. That could be seen as an
No,
insult.
he laughed his ass. He was always laughing at that because I tried because like I couldn't read half the stuff on the menu because there he always laughed when I tried to read the stuff off the menu and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So here's where Dr. Smith is basically flip-flopping back and forth. First, he's excited, thinking the Robinsons are going to die, and then he's so proud of himself that he wants to read the eulogy. And then he says, perhaps they won't need the eulogy after all, now that he sees that the temperature is slowly rising. So he's kind of flip-flopping, but this is the first time in the series where it looks like Dr. Smith might actually care a little bit about the family.
Well,
about
I'm
their
not so
survival.
sure. The reason why though that he cares about the family is that he's realizing that the robot doesn't really make that great of a friend.
Yeah, you like exactly. A lot of it's him being alone. Yes. Sorry, go ahead,
Yeah,
Jim.
well, also the robot can't fly the ship, right? I mean, it's got a limited ability to. Smith realizes he needs Dawn, and he needs the family basically to survive. So, because I mean, without Dawn, he'll be stuck there forever.
And what's funny is Dawn likes him the least out of everybody.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a total hate relationship. That one. Yeah.
And this is where he even asks the robot, "Do you remember those instructions I gave you before?" And the robot reads them. Yes, eliminate all unnecessary personnel. And this is where Dr. Smith goes out of his way to so he erase those commands. So now we know that those are not part of the programming of the robot. So the robot, as we know the audience, is no longer a danger to the Robinson family. The Robinson family does not know that yet.
Oh, welcome, Canadian Spider-Man.
Hey, Canadian Spider-Man, good to see you. Welcome back to Canada.
Hey, Spidey.
Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to have another campfire chat.
Hello, Spidey.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just had one, but I missed it.
Yeah, just
Oh,
don't
so
pass
did
out.
I.
Yeah, just don't pass out on everybody where they call the Mounties on you.
Yeah,
Well,
we
we
don't
know
want any more
now.
of that.
We know now to call the fire brigade, but hopefully his brother instead.
Yeah.
All right. So here we have the Robinsons. It looks like they're nearing the end of the the inland sea, and they're trying to debate on how far it is because they still don't know.
Yeah.
And here's where they're realizing the temperature is starting to rise.
Yeah. I'm guessing that the sea is about the same width and depth of the Dead Sea. I think it's kind of like the Dead Sea.
And notice how they had a ship was shaking, and that's when Marine realizes on the seismograph that there was an earth tremor. So now they're starting to realize that the ice is starting to crack, perhaps. And meanwhile, back with Dr. Smith. And of course, he's talking about the robot saying, you have to stand there and gloat. And the robot is incapable of gloating. Right. I could get more companionship from a cuckoo clock. Right. This is where, yeah, you're like you said, he's realizing that the robot's not much company at this point. And Dr. Smith makes the decision to warn the Robinson family.
Yeah, automatic F because he's out of character. He could have had the whole family eliminated there to get him out of the way for him.
No, it's not out of character at all. It's he's selfish because he wants friends. He doesn't want to be lonely.
Right, and he knows he'll never get off that planet without them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe he should have joined only mad scientists at onlymadscientists.com.
Yeah, right. So here we have the Robinsons have crossed over the inland sea, and now it looks like it's daylight. And they mentioned that the sun came up really rapidly. Apparently, that it was just dark just shortly before that. So apparently, the days are very unpredictable as far as timing goes, and they seem to be happy to cross the ice.
Yeah.
And the kids tell them that they're hungry, so Marine asks John if they could pull over soon so they can camp and get something to eat. He says yes, that they need to do repairs anyway, and he wants to do more tests. And Dr. Smith, while trying to warn the Robinsons are willing to listen, but Don is not, and Don keeps brushing them off, which upsets Dr. Smith.
Well, this reminds me of a story that I heard when I was a wee little lad. Hey, there's a wolf! 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 Oh, there's no wolf. See, he ran away. There's a wolf! There's a wolf! There's a wolf! Oh, he ran away. And then the real wolf comes along. Nobody
Yep.
comes.
Have you heard of
But
Aesop's fables?
yeah, though I like no, that's a story for a different time. I like Garrick's
Well,
interpretation of
right.
the story, but that's a story for a whole different time. We won't get into that.
Well,
Yeah,
no, it makes sense. They don't trust him because he's lied before, so it makes sense that Don doesn't trust him at all. And like you're saying, Garrick would say, "Don't tell the same lie twice."
Mm.
Yeah,
But gorilla. It's Aesop's fable. It's the boy who cried wolf.
yeah. I don't know who wrote it,
They
but I
actually
figured
used to
everybody
teach
knew
that.
where it comes.
Yeah, they used to teach it in school. I wish they still did.
I
It was
learned
very
it when I was a
lot,
kid.
That's the
yeah,
parents'
a lot of very valuable lessons in it if they would teach every kid that. But that's one of those things. It's probably not proper anymore. Probably been
Yeah,
deleted and erased.
I remember hearing that when I was a kid too. Yeah.
Well, when I was teaching in the '90s and 2000, then we were still teaching it. But I'm sure now it's gone by the wayside
Yeah.
along with everything else.
Mm.
Well, it's
Because remember,
public domain, so anybody can read it to their children.
yes, it's up to the family and the parents to do so. The reason why I think that they don't do it anymore is because it taught kids lessons. If you do the wrong things, bad things can happen, and that's not allowed anymore.
Well,
That's why
it's
you have
also basically it's about the boy telling the wolf story. I mean, he's basically lying, right? So
right. It's
it's
teaching a kid
basically
not to lie, right?
not to lie. Yeah, exactly.
Right, because when the day is going to come where you're going to actually tell the truth, you're going to need help, and no one's going to believe you. So it's a very good lesson.
Well, the thing is, if you tell enough lies, eventually you're going to get caught, lying. So it's not a good plan, not a good way to
No,
live.
no, and you have to have a really good memory to remember all your lies. Otherwise, they're going to start
Exactly.
tripping over each other.
Yep. Exactly.
And now Dr. Smith is lamenting he doesn't think the Robinsons are going to make it back, and he figures all he has left to talk to is the robot, and he can't even beat him at chess. And he says, "There, you have the open pace people, or you have the sort of open pace people seem to trust." So here's where he decides, how would you like to take a little trip? And he's going to program the robot with some data to warn the Robinsons about the orbit of the planet. So the robot sets off on its mission to follow the Robinsons, who are now set up camp. And apparently, we have later that day, or now we're into the evening, and they're trying to decide on the Earth's orbit. And here comes the robot.
All right, we got a few chats. Can we catch up on them?
Yes, thank you, Gorilla.
Mikey says, I expect more frosted crafts is what I am saying. In space, no one hears you scream, lol. Then Canadian Spider-Man says, Hola, amigos. Hail to you, pop culture curator and Jill and PvP and Gorilla.
Hail to you, Canadian Spider-Man. Good to
Hola.
see you.
Yeah. Hail, Spider-Man.
F Feta Boomer, hail to you. Mikey says, Turkel, who played the robot, had to emphasize his analogs and data better.
Analogies? I'm not sure what you mean by Turkle. And Phantom, go ahead,
I'm
Gorilla.
guessing
Sorry.
Turkel, the guy in the. I'm guessing Turkel's the guy in the robot suit.
No, Bob May was in the robot suit, and Dick Tufeld did the voice. Maybe he means Tufeld, the voice of the narrator of the show and the robot Tufeld.
Okay.
Hmm.
And Phantom says, "Hail back at ya, Canadian Spider-Man." Mikey says hi to Canadian Spider-Man. Lemon says hi. Uh, and Lemon says, "Call the Mounties."
Not yet, guys. We're just kidding.
Mikey says, "RCMP, red alert, LOL." Aesop's Fables or the Brothers Grimm tales. What would be better to
Well,
examine?
it depends on the age of the kid. I'd say the younger they are, the Aesop fables. When they get a little older, Brothers Grimm is perfect.
And this one's addressed to you, Jill.
Hey, Matt G. How you doing?
There you are, Jill's number one fan.
Yeah, Jill's
And
the only
very
one he shouts out by name.
and right
He
and
said,
right, we're all various others, but I do appreciate that, Matt G. Thank you for joining us
and the rest.
and the
yeah,
rest. I'm always proud to be the rest. It's better than not being
yeah,
anything at all, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
That's true.
Here on Gilligan's Isle. Yeah. And Tufeld, sorry.
Yes, that's
Uh,
it. No problem, Mikey.
Benji says hello, lol. Oh, and Mikey says great analogy.
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 Thank you, Mikey.
Oh, and he says hi, Matt G. And Matt G says yo. All right.
Yo. Okay, got that starred. All right. So we have the robot approaching them, trying to give them the report that Dr. Smith fed them. Don, not trusting the robot, pulls out the blaster and shoots it, knocking out its power, which of
Yeah.
course immediately upsets Will. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Will.
What a
Me
dick. He
too.
didn't even let the robot come give him a hug.
Well, I know, right?
You can understand Don's point of view, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's really rash to not at least obtain all the information you can when it's clear the robot isn't being aggressive.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
Don, I guess, was thinking of what happened earlier, so he kind of, I guess, he kind of was a little hasty there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah, I
felt
could see both point of views because I can see them, or at least Don, still be worrying about Dr. Smith sending the robot to kill them.
yeah. And
And I mean, imagine all Smith would have to do is give the robot the order: act calm, act nice until you get up close, and then strike.
yeah. But here's my issue. It's not like the robot has like a laser on it that could shoot him, and it doesn't move very fast. But of course, it must move pretty damn fast if it can catch up to them where they're at before they moved on.
Yep, because it apparently it made it to where they're at within one day.
Yeah.
Because it was
Well,
in the morning when they left, and now it's nighttime.
they said 70 to 80 miles.
Yes. Here it is. This is what I was reading about earlier. Uh, During post production, even after efforts were made by the writers to play both Smith and the robot as lighter heavies, an additional push toward getting the audience to embrace both was made during the post production phase. For instance, in their first scene together in this episode, Smith gets a weather report from the robot who says relative humidity 47% outside temperature, minus 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and dropping inside temperature 51 degrees Fahrenheit, dropping rapidly. And alarm Smith says 51 here, no wonder I'm chilly. And dropping, you say? The robot confirms rapidly. As printed, the lines are bare of direction or inflection. While recording the robot's voice and with the encouragement of the producers, Dick Tufeld rolled his R's. His lines came out relative humidity and dropping. The rolling R's rolled out even further after Miss Smith asked, and dropping, you say? Tufeld replied, rapidly.
That's good to notice some character development with the robot.
It is. Because even, I mean, think about it. I mean, and of course, as a reminder, we've mentioned before, this aired during family hours, so CBS was very strict on making it friendly for the family. So they didn't want the constant threat on the kid, even though it was the network's decision to add Dr. Smith and the robot. It was also the network's decision to soften them and make them more comedic and more relatable, I guess you could say, to the audience.
Yeah, well, Smith and the robot do become sort of quite more humorous as the series goes on, and they
Yes.
actually do build a relationship of some sort. I mean, it's kind of a strange one maybe, but and then of course Will, he becomes the third member of that eventually, right? So often there's like the three of them getting involved in something. So
Right. The robot and Smith pretty much almost become like a comic duo.
yeah, kind of comedy relief, I guess, in a way. Yeah, but it's usually
So
very entertaining.
oh, it is. It is. They do keep it interesting. So this is where Will is upset because Don shot the robot with the laser blaster, and at this point, Robinson's not really sure why, and he's going to check out the robot to see what kind of damage it is. And he asks Don, "Why did you shoot the robot? We could have listened to what it had to say." And Don says that we don't trust. It's Dr. Smith. So there's a. This is also, by the way, the first time we get conflict between Don and Professor Robinson, where they disagree because Don wanted to immediately, obviously, blast the robot and knock out its power, and Professor Robinson wanted to listen to the report. And Professor Robinson pulls out the tape and sees that the Dr. Smith had programmed to tell them that the planet was on it. This is the first time they've clarified that the planet is on a. In fact, here it is. It's on a flat eclipse, so it's not like orbit like where of our Earth is now. So he draws out, and this is where he draws out. Thank you, Joe, for getting that still on the sand, the flat ellipse, and one of those markers is the planet they're on, and the other one is the sun. So basically, as the planet gets close to the sun, it gets too close, and that's when it gets hot. And then as it rotates away from the sun, it gets too cold because it's not a circular orbit like we are now, where it's relatively everything's even. Not only that, though, but the planet does not rotate around the sun. The way this planet is also another thing about its orbit is one side faces the sun at all times, and the other side is constantly dark. So
Okay,
this is. Go ahead.
I have a question then. How can anything even survive on the planet if it's constantly going from extremes?
Well, like I know so far we've seen the giant. Maybe it lived underground
Yeah, but
because there
even
were
they got plants above ground.
right, but then they pull them up and they said that they're charred. So apparently they grow and then they burn, and then they grow and then they burn. I'm guessing
The thing is, though, as the series goes on, they kind of get away from that idea, don't they, of
they
the
do.
irregular? Because I mean, basically after a while, the Robinsons are growing vegetables, and you know, so it's like
Well,
if the
right,
planet was
because
incinerating every so many days, they wouldn't be able to grow anything, right?
right, and they would have to. Right now, they would be making the decision. We need to get off this planet now.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of goes to the wayside, and they
Yeah.
decide to make it a little more habitable.
Yeah. Definitely.
So Don still doesn't believe the data, but Professor Robinson's tell him that they've only got a few hours, and pretty soon they're going to be roasted alive. It's going to be extremely hot, and that they need to build a shelter. And Don still does not believe him. And I think this right here is a good example of their acting chops, and it gives them a good opportunity to play off each other. And we will see that in a later episode where it reminds me of this here.
Yeah. All right. Now here's one of the things I had an issue with. So it took. They've been on the planet for what you said about a week. So
I'm just guessing.
it stayed cold for the longest time there. Now all of a sudden it's rapidly warming up, and we'll see that it rapidly just changes there like in a matter of hours there. So what's up with such a difference?
Well, remember that's when he showed the orbit on the sand.
Yeah.
That when the planet as it gets towards the sun, it's a lot smaller orbit, so it goes around almost like a Star Trek when they do a whiplash around the sun.
Oh, slingshot.
So a slingshot. So what happens is the planet spends more of its time away from the sun, and then as it gets closer to the sun, it zips around it and back out again into cold.
Oh, so maybe it acts like a comet.
possibly.
So the speed
But
of
I
the
don't.
orbit is not consistent.
No, it's not. I think what they're saying too, also, right? As it because that's why he showed the sun at the end there, where he drew the ring around it. That when they go around the sun, that it's a lot less time than when it's out in the cold. So I guess that's why there's not as much heat. The time, like obviously, there's days of cold on this planet, but there's not days with the burning heat. So that's why they know the heat's not going to last, but it's going to be intense. So the best thing they can do is put up some heat shelters. Don still isn't quite sure whether to believe it or not. And as Professor Robinson's telling him, like it or not, I'm gonna save your life too.
Yeah,
So we
because
need to,
Don trusts in the science. He's a scientist here. He trusts in the data that he sees.
John or
As
Don?
it John rather.
John.
Uh
Okay.
John trusts in the data he sees and how the data aligns with the reality that he's experiencing. And
Yes.
that's it.
Yeah, and Don is always seems skeptical of a lot of things. That seems to be his character, right? He's always doubting, you know.
Which is good because that adds that little play for the audience instead of everyone just constantly agreeing and moving
Oh
along.
yeah. Well, it works well against Smith too, right? Because their
It does,
relationship is so antagonistic. That's always good too.
and it shows Don does care about the family, so he's not doing it just to be a jerk.
No, he
It's
just
just
can
that
be very
he doesn't have
stubborn.
it. He's stubborn and he doesn't have the knowledge that Professor Robinson has. He's more of a pilot and mechanic.
Yeah. Yep.
And in fact, he even tells Robinson it's too bad there isn't judgment to go along without self confidence. And that was a pretty daring thing to say. And John says, whether you like it or not, I'm going to try to save your life along with the others.
It's nice to see Guy Williams get a little bit of chance to do some acting in this scene too,
It
because
is,
often he gets kind of pushed to the background in some episodes. It seems.
yes. And Will, I thought, okay, Will, this is the last thing you want to do is get in there and start praising Dad for what happened. Boy, Dad, you really read him out. It's like, shut up, Will.
Mhm.
That's a good one. Will can be a very cheeky kid at times.
And of course, once again, Maureen's trying to be positive about it and show a positive outlook and be cheerful. She does realize how dangerous it is. She heard the whole conversation, but she doesn't want them to worry, especially because she has the kids there within listening range. And this is where Judy confronts Dawn because she's not so sure either. Judy's obviously siding with her dad. She knows her dad knows what he's talking about, but Dawn's still not quite sure. And we cut to our solar shelter. And the robot is still over there without power. And you guys are going to notice too that when they show close ups of the robot, Bob May is not in the suit. So it's very, very short. And they just put a stick or a stake inside of it to hold the suit up.
Yeah. Now, I had a little bit of an issue with the shelter because they're saying it's up to 108 degrees there. Now,
Well, I'm
but they
used to
leave,
that. I'm from Fresno, California, where it get up to 112, 115. But yeah, but it's going to get hotter too.
yeah, but they leave big gapping holes in their shelter.
Well, I think what they're showing is that it's directed towards the sun. Because even when Will points up and look and says, "Look, you can see the sun," so they know that it's positionable. They don't have enough to cover the entire chariot, like for example, like a dome. So the best thing I think they can do is point it towards the direction of where the sun is.
Well, if they have lowered it, they might have been able to just crawl right underneath it.
Possibly.
Yeah, but I think I noticed something in here in a few more slides here, but we also got a lot of chats here.
Thank you,
Well, and
Gorilla.
also they don't do anything to protect the robot from the heat.
Oh
No,
yeah,
this is where we establish that the robot. Now, remember, let's see, has it happened here yet? I don't think so. But they're going to establish later that the robot can handle deep space. And this is the episode where they establish the robot can also handle extreme heat, apparently. So it's designed for it, I'm guessing.
Oh, well, okay. Well, that's helpful. Thank you.
yeah. All right, Mikey says the robot never said "yo" in the series, did he?
No.
The And
Afraid
Mike says,
not.
trigger happy Don slash Will. Will's right to say what he did. Mike says
I agree.
the producers made them less like villains and more like comic foils during the entire series.
That is true.
And Flatty Lips. Um, and Phantom Breath says, "Oh my, punched tape. I used to be able to read that stuff." And Maxie says, "Hello, Boomer." Mikey says, "Weird life cycles." And Phantom says, "Howdy, Matt G." All right. So, okay. Earthquake!
Nice. And Don's getting upset about this whole situation,
Yeah.
but John says we'd have felt it whether we were traveling or not, which makes sense.
It does. Don's still upset that they're not listening to him.
Yeah, it's getting so hot, but yet they want to keep heading towards the equator.
And here's where they explain it right here. But Don says, "I'm not a geologist. I'm a pilot." And Don says, "I'm not a geologist. I'm a pilot." And John says, "Well, I'm a geologist."
Yeah. I wish they would
And what I
change
like,
the names up a little bit more so they're not so close together like that.
yeah, I guess it would have helped. And and what's good about this is even though they're disagreeing, they still work together to fix this shelter. So I like this scene. And this is where Will looks up and says, "Look," and we can see the sun quickly approaching.
Yes, as a Star Trek fan, that's something I noticed too. Is the teamwork stayed intact despite disagreements? Is great.
Right. Because in real life, they'd be like, "I'm not going to help you. You're yelling at me." Right.
Yeah. Now, now, how come they're no longer in their burrito outfits?
That was during space travel.
Yeah. Because if they would have had their burrito outfits on, they could have been protected by the sun. They'd just have a little sunburn and still be cool on the inside.
I think those suits were designed for space travel, and to keep them warm.
Well, okay. I was thinking that protect them from, they just get a little sunburnt on the outside there, and then on the inside they'd still be cool.
It's a fair point. I guess maybe they can't carry all those suits with them for some reason, but
Yeah.
that suit did help John get through the entry of the atmosphere.
It
Yeah.
did. Well, that's true, which would have been heat. And at that point, they didn't know when they left the ship. They didn't know that they were going to be encountering heat like this.
Yeah. All right. Now this is where I wanted to point something out. Look at all their feet here.
Yes, their feet are sticking out.
All right. Now wait till a couple more stills.
And here we
Yeah.
have, as the sun approaches, things start bursting into flame. The plants start catching on fire,
Yeah. Now
and
notice.
the Robinsons are hunkered down under the blanket.
Yeah. Notice something.
Yeah, their feet are under the blanket.
Yeah.
Except for the other side, you can see two feet sticking out where Marine and John are.
Yeah. So it flip flopped. They flip flopped it.
Maybe they were like squirming around inside during the heat bombardment.
Well, I guess you gotta get your rocks out somehow. I guess then.
I do like the design of the heat shield, and this obviously shows there with the damage on the heat shield that it got them through that heat storm, but it probably would not last for another one. So I wouldn't trust that for a second storm attack. So I think this is what they're realizing, that they can't continue staying out in the elements.
Now, wouldn't the chariots help? Wouldn't it have been better if they will wrap that heat shield like around the windows of the chariot, and
I
then
don't think it
just
was big enough. They would have roasted alive in that chariot. That's like wrapping a baked potato with aluminum foil.
I don't know. You think the chariot would have air conditioning?
Possible, but I don't know if it's designed for that much heat. So John accidentally burns his hand on the exterior of the chariot, which I thought was a good attention to detail because I lived in a hot environment and you could easily burn your hand when you touch your car handle or when you get in there and you touch that steering wheel. It happened many times.
Oh yeah.
So I like that they caught that. Yes. And each of them get some water, and like you would do, you would say just a little bit of water. You don't want to drink a lot. And now Don starts to disassemble the robot, and Will doesn't see what's going on, and he calls for Dad and says, "Hey, he's taking apart the robot." And Dad John says, "I'll take care of this." And he says, "Why are you taking apart the robot?" And he says, "Well, pretty much we have to be heading back the way we came, and we don't want this robot flying all around inside the chariot, so we need to be able to stow it away during the trip."
Yeah.
And the reason why they did this, which I thought was a good idea too, that's another thing that I mentioned earlier, where they had to kind of write some of the dialogue to splice new scenes with the original pilot, was because obviously in the original pilot the robot was not aboard the chariot. So that's why Don suggests I need to disassemble the robot and pack it away, so that later scenes when we see them inside the chariot, there's no robot.
Ah.
Wait! I got Mikey brings up a good point here.
What?
Where's my damn cousin during that? They didn't give him no dang heat shield.
I think they buried Debbie under the sand. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Debbie with all that hair may not have survived normally, but yeah, I think obviously I think Penny had Debbie under the blanket with her.
Oh, okay. Oh, let's just read these two here real quick. Mikey says the standstill robot actually or accidentally fell forward during these scenes. LOL.
I like that because that was during the earthquake, so you could see the robot flopping around, and which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, and he says, "Where's the alien ape pet?" I'm assuming he's snuggling under the coverings with the ladies.
Yes, he is. It's she. It's his name is Debbie.
Uh,
Well, nowadays they'd be rating it like that. I'll tell you that.
And by the way, Mikey, that little chimp that played Debbie was the same one that played Ellie Mae's chimp on the Beverly Hillbillies. If you like that old show, so that was the same chimp that played. I can't remember the name of the little chimp, but she had it like in a little checkered dress. Okay, so here's where they're heading back, and the inland sea is obviously not frozen anymore. And I love the fact that this chariot is designed to tread water.
yeah, it's
So
pretty
with no
cool.
problem at all, it just goes right into the ocean and heads across.
Uh, yeah, I didn't know. I didn't think a thing would float like that.
Yep, it's designed for it. And here's something I want to mention also. Thank you for getting this still, Jill. Is these are also right here. Since this is from the pilot, remember they've already established that they know that they're very, very far away from Earth. But since this is from the pilot, this scene was shot where they didn't know where they were at. So Will says, "You think this is Mars?" Or Penny says, "Do you think this is Mars?" And Will says, "I don't know for sure. We might even be on Cerebrus." And the reason why is that doesn't go in continuity wise. Is this scene is from the original pilot?
Yeah.
Okay, that
Cerebra-
makes sense because I was going to have that question. Thank you.
Okay, I got a question
Uh-huh.
here. What is Cerebrus referencing?
Isn't that a moon of Mars?
Oh, what? Okay. It's. Oh, I suppose I could always. I guess I could Google it too. I'm not sure what the name of Mars's moons are.
Yeah,
I think it's a
I'm not 100%
constellation.
sure.
I think Cerebrus is a constellation. Because apparently it's after Greek mythology, which seems to be most of our constellations are named after.
Well, it's a Greek dog apparently, or Greek mythology. Cerberus was a hound of Hades, but I'll actually look up uh, astrology or space.
There, it says that there's a region on Mars called Cerebrus.
Yeah, it looks like it says the Cerebrus
Ah,
feature is a relatively dark region at the southeastern edge of the huge Elysium Mons volcanic complex. It was visible to early astronomers of Mars because it was a distinctive spot on a large, bright region of the planet. I think they're talking about that big spot we always see when we see pictures of Mars.
Okay.
That was a good question. Thank you, Gorilla. So here's where they hit. The water is getting much more turbulent. And they're still trying to make it across the sea. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, they notice in the scanner that up ahead there seems to be a whirlpool.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was gonna say someone from the National Weather Service is getting fired because they forgot to put out a hurricane warning.
Well, Don mentioned back at the campfire, back at the campsite when they were packing up, that he'd like to take a look at the solar batteries. That's another thing that they wrote in to help explain what's going on here, because this footage here is from the pilot. So Professor Robinson is trying to steer the ship or the chariot, and it seems to have lost power. So they're drawn into this whirlpool, and they have no control. So that's when Don decides he needs to climb up on top and try to align those solar batteries. And I thought this is an excellent special effects scene.
Yeah, it's really well done. Was that all miniature model work on the
Yes,
long
it
shot?
was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they did a great job of making the. Usually, when they do miniatures, as any of you guys have seen miniatures, they usually look fake inside water. Anybody who's seen those old Godzilla movies,
Right.
because water has a certain texture to it. But they did a really
Yeah.
good job of making it look like that was a real sized vehicle inside the water.
Yeah.
So Don,
Yeah. Definitely. It looks great.
so Don fell off the side trying to align the batteries. Judy panicked, climbed up on top, and was trying to spot him. And then she was calling for him. And then Don was able to make his way back into the chariot. Thank goodness. And they closed the hatch, and he was able to line the solar batteries just in time. And Professor Robinson was able to maintain control of the chariot, so they're able to make it back over the inland sea. And now they're back into the sunny area and headed back towards the Jupiter 2. And here we have this scene here is the ending of the pilot. So we have them disembarked and they're all happy. And you notice they're not wearing their jackets now.
All right.
So
This is what I was talking about. We just established like a day or so ago that everything was burnt alive around them. You know, we've seen it for all plants person. Now they got a fully grown forest.
yep, it is possible. And I think the continuity there was because this is from the pilot.
Right, and this is how the train looked when they found Debbie.
Right, the train was like that. You're right. So maybe there are certain areas that don't get the direct heat. It's too bad they couldn't move the ship there where all that foliage is. That sounds like it'd probably be a lot more habitable.
Yeah,
So
typically you want to settle down wherever the nearest source of water is.
you know,
Yes.
I got a question. Now is the ship completely inoperable or?
It's been damaged from the crash and they have not repaired it yet. They're restoring and repairing piece by piece, but it's not able to fly yet.
Okay. Now I got another question.
Uh-huh.
Does uh, Lost in Space take mostly on this planet?
No.
Okay.
And here, which I thought was a nice touch, Professor Robinson actually breaks out a Bible and says, "Let's give thanks." I don't think you'd see that on TV these days.
Oh hell
And
no!
Yeah,
This
it's
show.
pretty rare. Yeah. That
Well,
you see
even in
anything like
science
this.
fiction back then, they tended to not go for religion. I know in Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry didn't do it because he was afraid of offending somebody, so he always wanted to respect everybody's religion by not including it in the show.
right.
No, I've seen a couple episodes there of TOS that they do have religion in it. Because I
Well, they
believe
have a
one
religion depending on whatever the planet they're on, right? You're talking about the religion of whatever the
no
planet they're on, or are you
no
talking about the crew of the Enterprise?
I can't remember which episode it is, but I believe they said Kirk was Catholic.
I
Oh,
don't remember
I
that.
don't remember that. Jill, do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
No, I don't
Anybody
think
in the chat, if you guys remember that, please fill us in.
I don't remember it anyway.
I can look it up.
I'm looking it up too.
So here's what I want to point: is this scene right here that we're looking at? To be precise, is you'll notice that they're all praying and they're on their knees, except for Don. Don's the only one standing. So there's one of two options. One of two options. Don is not a religious man, or Don is at his post guarding them in case anything happens because they're at their weakest right now. And this scene, I was also, like I said, this was the ending of the original pilot. So with the original pilot, the camera zooms out and we get our cliffhanger of the aliens from next week's episode, which are actually a week or two from now, invaders from the fifth dimension. And I got to remember to tell Hungry Boy when we're covering that episode, he wants to be here to join us for that. So I hope he can make it.
Yeah, that's a
So
few
we have
episodes away, isn't it?
yes, a couple episodes, two or three. Yes,
I
the
would
next
say
episode, three possibly. So here we have our Trepid Robinsons heading back towards the Jupiter 2. So once again, they're covering the desert terrain. And fortunately, the chariot does not break down, which is always a good thing.
So I went to a website where you can search all the scripts, and the word Catholic does not appear in the original series, Star Trek.
I'm looking up a thing from the net.
Or
Oh,
in
wait.
Star Trek at all.
This
All right.
reference might be a little biased there.
Just don't look it up on Chat GPT.
No, I use Google.
Invaders from the fifth dimension is episode number 8, by the way, Pup.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I thought. There's two more, and then that one.
Yeah, there's a Welcome Stranger next week, and then My Friend
My name.
Mr. Nobody,
Yes.
which is one of my absolute favorite episodes.
Yes.
Okay. They didn't flat out say he was Catholic, but there's a lot of like Christian references inside snuck into the episodes there that went
Of the
under
crew?
radar. No, I went under the radar of Roddenberry.
Yeah, but I
Well,
mean,
like,
the crew of the Enterprise.
Yeah, like for example, Brett is like it said the Piece de Resistance ultimate shout out to Christianity in the original Kirk era Star Trek series came in the episode entitled Bread and Circuses and had specific references to Jesus as the Son of
That's
God.
true.
It's or on Stardate 4041.7, uh, while orbiting high above planet 892-4, Captain James Tiberius Kirk specifically admitted his own longing for the Messiah and wishing to be present when the aliens' planet's covert religion of total love and total brotherhood
Which
directly.
episode is that?
I'm not sure exactly which episode that. There's
They don't
also
say.
they just gave me a star date. I'm guessing that's the Bread and Circuses one. There's another one for Who Mourns for Adonis.
Adonis.
So yeah, they snuck references into it. You know, that went under Roddenberry's radar.
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
think Bread and Circuses is the most blatant example. Like, I mean, doesn't Uhura mention the Son of God on the bridge of the Enterprise
Yes.
towards the end? Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty.
Well, I
pretty
think she meant. Well, I think what she does is she mentions the religion and the belief of, but she's not saying that she believes in it.
No, but they like Kirk and Spock. They think they're sun worshippers, right? You know, like
Right.
ancient people used to be. And then Uhura's like, "Oh no, that's not it." And then she points out what she thinks it is, and whether she believes it or not, that's what her observation is, right? So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to mention too that the scene where they were praying outside the chariot, in the original description for Professor Robinson, he's also a minister.
really,
But they played that down, yes.
hmm.
And this is the scene I was mentioning earlier, that last clip there. This is actually from the pilot episode because look, he's back to wearing that Air Force uniform with the zip
yeah.
pockets. So where he says Robinson alive,
This part did
impossible.
seem out of space.
Right, and that's why he said Robinson singular, not plural form. So right, so they add that in to look like he looked out the window and saw them approaching in the chariot.
Huh.
All right, we got 5 chats here.
Thank you.
Micah says, "Oh right, Ellie Mae's pet chimp." Cerebus
Yes.
equals 3-headed dog in mythology times. Mikey says, "Did Albert Whitlock work on most of the miniature effects?"
Albert Whitlock mostly did matte paintings, so he may have done the background behind them, the mountains, but he mostly did mountain pounds, matte painting. Sorry, I don't don't think he was known for miniature effects, but I
Huh.
could be wrong. I'd have to look it up.
Okay. Mikey says, does their give thanks scene reveal the religion the Robinson family follows?
Well, it was the Bible, so I think we could say Christianity. I don't think it was necessarily Catholicism or anything specific, but there are a lot of religions that follow into the Bible.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's
they
a,
definitely kept it. They kept it general.
yeah. And that's probably for the best.
Yes, it
Absolutely.
was.
Yeah, and Mikey says, I think Kirk was an agnostic. Then, welcome, Captain Finity. Brendan Circus's Pops, panel, and chat.
Good to see you,
Not
Captain. Glad you could join us.
Yeah.
non-denominational is what I meant to the word that I wanted. Hello,
Yeah,
Captain Finity.
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Then Phantom Boomer says, hey, Captain Finity. Then he says, Captain says, Boomer.
Yeah,
All right.
so good to have Boomer here.
Now let's stop covering up Jill.
Okay, so
No,
here we
it's
have
okay to
them.
cover me up for the chat. It's all good.
No, in fact, especially because you did the slides. Here, I'll give you a chance upstairs for a change.
Oh, sure.
And
Cover me up.
I'll rotate. I'll rotate you guys around. That's what I should have been doing in the first place. In
Like
fact, I'm
music
going
Nah,
to
you're
start.
chairs.
fine. You're fine,
I'm
Pop.
going
Don't waste
when you
effort
do
on
the
it.
chats. When you do the chats, I'll move you forward, and then when PvP talks, I'll move him forward. And so the chariot arrives back. Thank goodness they make it back safely to the ship, and they notice the ship seems to be in good shape, which is a great thing. Don and John are making up for their disagreements. And once again, Will has to stick his nose into it. And basically, Don tells him there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah. Wait.
God.
I just
Will, it's
thought of
like, will you
something.
shut your mouth, Will? You antagonizer.
Wait, I just thought of something. You know how we were talking about how do you think the ship would be able to handle the extreme cold? Then we're saying that the ship was damaged. So maybe that's why it was getting cold inside. Was because the ship's damaged.
That could be part of it, too. So Will is reiterating that his dad's the boss, isn't he? And Don says, well, of course, yes. And we have another end of the day. Uh, Professor Robinson writing his notes about what they've experienced. And of course, he has his faithful wife by his side. I like that. And he talks about all attempts to try to contact anybody out there have been unsuccessful. And how they still don't know if they're going to be able to survive on that planet. In the meanwhile, upstairs it looks like they've taught the robot how to play the guitar. And Dr. Smith decides to chime in, be it ever so humble, there's no place like home. And Will is working with the scanner, trying to pick up anything he can. And Will does not understand the music, so that's why he said sure was creepy music. I guess he figures it's depressing. And Dr. Smith says, apparently you're not as sensitive to the finer things as I am, young man.
Yeah. You think he'd listen to that in his own damn room, show a little bit of courtesy.
And a little Shakespeare here.
Yes, we do have a little bit of Shakespeare. I like that they start adding Shakespeare. Reception? Is that what you call a sound and fury which signifies nothing? I believe that's from Macbeth, I think.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know. I cheated when we had to read Shakespeare in high school.
I loved it. When the class would read it and they say, okay, we're all going to take turns. You read this paragraph, you read this paragraph. I was the only one that could read it correctly. All the other kids were like, her, ye, it was like, oh my God, I could pull my hair out.
Well, we didn't have to read them out loud. We just got tested per chapter and all that. But our teacher just gave us a book that had the old Shakespearean English and then modern English right next to it. They had two columns, one in the original Shakespearean and one in New English.
Cheater.
And then you just read the English part to get the meaning. See, the one that I read didn't have that. It had the Shakespeare exactly as it was written,
Me
but
too.
it had subtitles though, and you could get to the subtitle, and then at the bottom of the page it gave you the translation, but only for the parts of Old English that we would have no way of knowing.
Yeah.
Right. Some of it was like really, really foreign.
Yeah. Well, pop culture. In all fairness, I did say right when I mentioned it, I did cheat on Shakespeare. I did
But
mention
that's
that.
totally fine.
But it's fine because it sounds like the teacher gave you a book that let you cheat. So it's
Hey,
not cheating if the teacher gives you the material.
Yeah, they
Yes.
supplied the book. I booked there.
Wasn't your fault.
Maybe it's like, oh, forget it. Here's the answers.
It's kind of like the one teacher there. We all got A pluses on our test there because she forgot to turn the overhead projector off.
Oh, nice. They need to, yeah, they need to do that more often, right? And by the way, everybody, as a reminder, really quick, we're getting close to this episode, the end of this episode. If you haven't done so, please vote in the chat on what grade you'd like to give it, and maybe hit a thumbs up if you enjoyed yourself. So here's where we have John, and Dr. Smith, pretty much saying that there's nothing out there. Will's been playing with the scanner, trying to pick up some sort of signal, and Dr. Smith says you never know, there could be something out there. And John says, well, you can stand here and at your post all night, pretty much. I'm paraphrasing. But as he does that, then Dr. Smith walks over to the panel and makes an adjustment and says, there, see? And then they notice a blip on the scanner and a deadly runaway missile, some sort of alien monstrosity waiting to swoop down on us. As Dr. Smith, of course, he's exaggerating once again, always has to overplay. And there we have a blip coming in on the scanner heading their direction. And John realizes it's a missile, and it heads straight for it. So they're thinking that Will sending out those signals is what attracted this missile. So they're thinking that's why and how it's homing in on them.
Oh, I missed that part.
So, you watched it on your phone.
No,
okay.
I think that's about the. I think Owen started talking to me when we were getting to this.
No problem.
All right.
Okay, and this is where we have our cliffhanger for next week's episode. And I'm going to see, yes, I do. I do have the teaser for next week's episode. I'm going to play that really quick here. Bear with me, everybody.
Oh, while you're doing that, I'll read the chats real quick. Herc says, salute Captain Finity. Mikey said, hi, Captain Finity. Captain Face says, Herc, Jill, non-denominational. That would be
non-denominational.
Yeah, you read
denominational.
That would be an equitable matter.
The Captain Finity said, Mikey. Mike says it has been a long time, Captain. Mikey says missile, lol. And Maggie says fire. Mikey says, speaking of Shakespeare, Susan and I got married by Judge Macbeth, and she quoted to us a love Jill
soliloquy
verbatim. Quite ironic. We were referring to Shakespearean info.
All right.
Yeah, very cool.
That's great.
And Maggie hopes everyone's well.
Thank you, Maggie. Likewise, hope you're doing good. This always makes me feel better. So I really love these streams. I feel bad about missing last week, but I promise you, no matter what it takes, I will be here for this week. So here we are. Well, I'm going to show the preview for next week's episode, which I believe is called Welcome Stranger.
Now, is Dr. Smith going to shoot him like they did on the derelict?
When you leave tomorrow, we want you to take Will and Penny with you. Forget it. Appearances can be deceptive, you know.
If you could hold up just a little bit longer.
Warning, warning. Come.
getting awfully close.
Hey, oh, that reminds me. We did miss an important thing during the slides when Don got
What's
knocked
that?
off trying to fix the solar generator there.
Oh
They
yeah,
all thought
that's
he was
right.
dead.
Yeah, it did. It everybody did look like they were upset, that he had fallen off, but he was hanging on the ladder.
Yes, thank goodness. And another thing, I should have gotten a still of it and a close up. Something I noticed because this is high definition, and I did not notice when I was younger. But when the Robinsons were standing outside the camp scene during the daytime before the fire kicked in, on the ground you could see a sign that says Zorro that was partially covered up with sand. You could see the Zorr. So something happened behind the
Zor-
scenes there.
Was that a joke in reference to Guy Williams' previous series?
I don't
I
know,
wonder.
but it was near his foot when he was talking to Marine.
Because he
And
was
I
famous
saw
for.
down there thinking I need to get that clip, and I forgot I didn't get a chance to.
Oh,
So go
gee,
back
I
and
would like
watch
to
it,
have seen
guys.
that. Wow,
Yeah, go back and watch it, and you'll see down
I
in
missed that.
it's in the sand by his foot, and you'll see the Zorr, and the rest is Zo, and the R's are partially covered with sand, and the rest is covered with sand. It's a
That's
little white
hilarious.
sign, like handwritten,
Because of
All
course
right.
his previous series was Zorro, which he's quite well known for.
Yeah.
which
And
I'm going to be watching. I
yeah,
obtained it, and I'm going to watch it.
oh, it's a great show.
Yeah,
Yes, I've been
Menchie
looking forward
says.
to it. I've been wanting to see it for a long time.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, Menchie says it's going okay. Comic Gate is under attack again from scumbags. So is the Rainbow Mafia after him or something? I've never heard anything about it.
I have no idea.
I know
Wait,
they've
I'm
been
sorry, who?
rioting the Rainbow Mafia. That's a reference to
I
the
need you to.
like Antifa, BLM, and all those other people that are that
Uh-huh.
and the people that on the LGBTQ community that sit there and attack everybody who doesn't believe in every single thing that they believe in. I call them the Rainbow Mafia.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah,
And I want to. There's something else. I know it's getting late, everybody, but I'm going to make this fast. Bear with me here. Um, well, this is larger. Just a second here. I apologize, guys. Got too many windows open. Bear with me here. I'll make this quick.
It's okay. Thanks to that preview, we know that somebody is inside the missile.
yeah. Now,
There's,
Cap is whether Smith they're gonna shoot him like he shot the people in the derelict right away. Oh,
I'm sorry. What's that?
is Smith gonna shoot them right away like he did in the derelict?
Ooh, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see, right?
Yeah,
Right. Well, okay. You know what? Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched it yet, so I don't remember that episode at all, really. So I'll have
You
to
think Smith
rewatch.
is going to mess this up again? A connection with others? It's
I
possible.
guess
Smith does
you
have a
never know,
tendency
right?
to mess things up. Well, we will next week.
Okay, which what you're looking at here in this window is I have the Blu-ray Lost in Space on my server. I've got like a I don't know 75 terabyte server, and I not only do I have Lost in Space, but I've got a lot of behind the scenes footage that I've culled over the years and collected. The same with Gilligan's Island. I want to start sharing it with Gilligan's Island, some of my Gilligan's Island stuff. So I'm going to show this here, and I'm going to skip through it so I don't get flagged for copyright. But I had to show you guys. I'm craving to do this. I would like. So bear with me just a moment.
Okay, while you're doing that, Mikey says LOL tribute to Guy. Phantom Boomer says out of the night when the full moon is bright. Maggie says some low lives dug up stuff on Mandy Summers, doxing her, and now she's totally withdrawn from the internet for now. Private did everything. This Comic Gate Citizen King moment. Citizen Mandy. Yep, that'd be the Rainbow Mafia for you. Maggie says, I'm heartbroken until she comes back. Mikey says, it's interesting that the stranger's a cowboy astronaut. He's a space cowboy from, he's the space cowboy from Battle Beyond the Stars.
Yeah, I do remember that part with the cowboy hat. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, that's War. We'll cover that. That's Warren Oates. He was actually a very, very fine, established actor.
Oh yeah, very famous actor, especially back in those days. He did a lot of stuff then. Yeah.
All right. Matt G says.
So
Mandy
here we have. This is. Go ahead.
I was just reading Matt G's comment. He says Mandy is a very important part of CG.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Matt G. I hope she's back soon.
Yeah.
And if you feel pop culture's earned it, you can leave him a tip there.
Oh, that's still. I need to get that out of there.
Yeah, Phantom Boomer says it's Warren Otis. And Matt G says, wait.
Oates.
No, it's Otis from. No, that's Otis from.
I think he's doing a play on the name Otis. Yeah, I think he's doing a play on the name Otis because Warren Oates is playing like a hillbilly.
Yeah, and then Maggie says, "Hey, when's that picture from?"
Yeah,
that
Warren
picture
Oates
from.
He did a lot of cowboy films, I believe. So.
Well, and action too. And one of my favorite movies was Race with the Devil with him in it, and him and Peter Fonda.
Oh, I was thinking of that movie.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I think I'll try to cover that on my stream here coming up soon.
Yeah, I was thinking that would
make
a great Tuesday one.
It would. We have Celebrity Family Feud with Gilligan's Island and Gorilla. This is what I meant, where Mr. Hal Jim Backus had the thick glasses. So now you can see how he's wearing them.
This is really old.
This is the 1980s, so this is 20 years after the show went off the air. And I remember Natalie Schaefer, Mrs. Howell, is in her 80s in this here. So here's what's very cool. I'm going to play a little bit of this without. I know I'm going to get flagged, but I'll do the best that I can not to.
Oh, we can talk over it.
So let me skip through it. And look at that, Lost in Space.
That's cool.
And that's Bob May, the robot guy, next to Judy. So the little short guy between Judy and Penny, that's the guy who played the robot.
Cool.
Okay.
Jonathan, but Williams, you can see him standing next to Cart. This is his last public appearance. He was already living down in South America, but he died, unfortunately, not too long after this. Because Billy Mooney did an interview saying that he regretted it because he never was able to see him again after the show went off the air. Oh. So here we have the cast of Lost in Space playing up against, there we have the skipper, and there we have the professor. And by the way, the professor is the worst player. I have to point that out. So
really?
If you can find this on YouTube, I highly recommend it. Without those coconuts, he's totally worthless.
Hey, if this guy hosted Family Feud nowadays, people will be screaming and yelling and shouting "Me Too" and everything with this host. I remember every time he'd come up to the ladies, he'd always give them a big old kiss on the lips, no matter who it was.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Well, back then, people were not looking to get offended. Anyway, there's
I mean, but on the lips, that's a little too far. The kiss on the cheek, fine, but on
it was
the
kind of
lips,
like
I know
that's
yeah, true. But
and especially considering he was
trademark in a way, though.
And he
was weird.
Right, and he was a chain smoker, so I'm sure that wasn't very pleasant.
That's even grosser.
Yeah, and I hope that there's all at least women over 18 on the show. Like nowadays, they got younger kids on there. So you'd hope that all the they didn't do that to the kids. I don't know. I've never seen clips of this.
Well, that's true.
I haven't seen this show in so long. I don't remember.
Right, but if you guys want to see this, it's available on YouTube. Just look up Lost in Space versus Gilligan's Island, and I highly recommend you watching this. It's hilarious. And the professor, like I said, the Gilligan's Island cast, the professor was the worst one, and believe it or not, the best one was Mr. Howell, Jim Backus.
Yeah.
Really?
So it's interesting how different they are than their actual characters.
Oh, Jim Backus, he did the voice of Mr. Magoo, didn't he?
Yes, he also did Mr. Magoo among many others. There we go. I've got a lot more background
Hmm.
interviews and things like this, outtakes that I will
Cool.
be showing with you guys. Hopefully in the future. I've been meaning to try to get around to that. Thank you for your patience
That was
during
pretty
that.
cool.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
Who won?
Lost in Space.
Oh,
Yay!
No, wait. Hold on, wait. No.
what?
I'm trying to remember. Hold on. But hold on. Let me share it again. I still
Hey,
have it
Jill.
open.
Hey,
What's
Jill.
up?
Just watch it and find out. So we're not giving away spoiler.
Spoilers. I'm never gonna watch.
Oh, come on. You can't spare 22 minutes of the day or 11 if you put it on 2 times the speed.
I guess. I
Okay,
guess
so
if I do it
here
two
we
times.
go. I think if I remember, I think Gilligan's Island wins, and if I remember right, I think it's because of Jim Backus that he helps them win.
Hmm.
Yep. Nope, Gilligan's Island won. And there's a professor not looking very smart.
He's not looking very. He doesn't look very. He aged well in that photo versus the TV
Oh, he
show.
did.
He aged well. He didn't. He just died not too
He
long
did.
ago,
Most of them,
like 10 years ago.
most of them did. Yeah, most of them did age well, actually, believe it or not, which is really good. The only one I guess you could say who did not, maybe did not, was Jim Backus, Mr. Howell, because he was already old at the time and he was suffering, unfortunately, from Parkinson's.
Uh,
So that didn't really help at all. And there's them back together. Oh no, this is sorry from another show. That's from Hawaiian Eye. And they show the cast from Hawaiian Eye. But there's winning their awards. So that's right. They kept winning back and forth depending on who won. But yeah, Gilligan's Island won this episode, if I remember right. And you see, they're even highlighting Jim Backus there because they knew that he was older. This was around the time we were getting those Gilligan's Island reunion movies. So
hmm.
Right.
he's a little
Yeah, I
older
like
and
those
frail.
movies.
Yeah, he's older and he's more frail in this, but his mind is still sharp as a tack. And by the way, so is Natalie Shaver. Both of them extremely still smart. Okay, so did that. Thank you guys. Thank you for your patience. So I'm
You're
going
welcome.
to go ahead and close the poll. I hope everybody took the opportunity to vote.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
I voted. I voted before the stream started.
Thank you. Very cool. I appreciate that, PvP.
Yeah, well, I always like to throw the vote in there, you know.
Oh, whoops! I knew I was forgetting something.
Oh,
I guess we'll be surprised.
What grade would you give the Hungry Sea? So it looks, oh, very nice. So it looks like 69% gave it a B plus to a B minus, 30% gave it an A plus to an A minus, and zero for C down below, which makes me really happy. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. So that is excellent because obviously I enjoyed it as well. And let's see. So let's go ahead and go clockwise. Jill, why don't you tell us what grade would you give this episode, and tell us about your channel?
Okay. I give this episode a B plus. I thought it was a great character moment for Dr. Smith. He's when he decides to help the family, even if so that they could survive the heat and understand that it's the nature of the orbit of the planet that causes these changes. And in the end, it didn't. He only did it because it would be too lonely without them. And this is a radical change in the intentions that Dr. Smith will have towards the family going forward. And this was an intelligent way to show his desire for the family to live because he does it for selfish reasons. So it doesn't go against his character, I don't think. He can continue to be entirely self serving for the rest of the series and even still try to come up with plans to get back to Earth and try to foil things, but not be murderous. But in this selfishness, his goal is for the family to survive. So now the Robinsons' goal and his are the same, in terms of living, at least. That's good.
Yes,
He can
cohabitating.
he can continue to be an antagonist, and I did enjoy learning about the elliptical orbit of the planet, but I would have liked uh, a bit more explanation of it. But I got that here in this live stream, what I wanted from the episode, so that was good.
Oh, very cool.
And but introducing this kind of weather and this kind of change, it seems like it might be debilitating for storylines going forward if they keep having to deal with this kind of weather.
And I don't want to give away too much, but they do delve. They start to delve away from that.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense actually.
Yeah.
And my channel is Antiderivative Jill. I have a science fiction channel. I've talked all about the Orville. I talk about UFO and other movies like Her and Forbidden Planet and
UFO.
UFO, Event Horizon, lots of stuff. And tomorrow I'll be talking about the Star Trek original series episode Friday's Child. So check it out at 12 or 12:30 Central Time tomorrow. And
Yep.
enjoy the original series with me.
I'm so excited, and I will be there, Jill. And I invite everybody here. If you're listening, please join us there. It's a fascinating time, especially if you're a fan of Star Trek TOS. We've always got a lot of new trivia and background info to bring in, so you'll always walk away knowing more than you did going in.
Yes, I'll start working on that after this.
Me too. That's my homework now. After this, I'm gonna watch that, start doing what I need to do, and eventually try to eat something. Gorilla, what say you? Give us what is your grade? Well, is this your grade of the episode? And tell us about your channel, Gorilla.
Well, I got a couple small nitpicks there. Like most of you guys debunked a lot of my complaints there, but one small nitpick that I'm docking is they did not explain how they're when they're crossing the sea there that they knew that the ice was safe to cross. I mean, I grew up on the ice here every winter. I'm out on that ice,
Yeah.
and you got we're always very cautious and all that. We follow the thin ice signs. We try to know where the aerators. So that kind of hit me there. They could have at least explained it in one sign, and I noticed I forgot to change my avatar from my rant I went on, but then also they didn't show them trying to protect the chimp there. Were we just supposed to assume that it made it underneath the blanket there when the sun got overheated?
So maybe
So
we need to remember that next time. Uncle Gorilla says, "Show the chimp."
yeah, so keeping that in mind, I guess an F minus for that. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm gonna give this one an A minus. Those small nitpicks aren't going to detract from it, but it did bother me because I grew up on the ice and stuff, and I like monkeys. So
Totally fine. And tell us about your channel, Gorilla.
well, there's a reason it's called Random Thoughts because it's random. Like I've been doing a lot of Rome Total War. I'm gonna try to make a countdown, figure out how to make a countdown video here because I got an idea for a real fun countdown video for my Rome Total War streams. But otherwise, on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, I will have we're doing End of the Fucking World watch party. There, we should get done with that in 4 weeks or so. We should be able to do 4 episodes a night because they're only 22 minutes long.
Okay.
And then Thursday will be a Rome Total War. Probably that's not for sure. Friday for sure we'll have a Gilligan's Island review. Saturday 2 more episodes of Babylon 5. I shouldn't have to cancel this week. And then Sunday we are watching with a wonderful Tim Russ Spaceballs. So I have to come up with some kind of clever thing for that. But I'm gonna try probably be doing a bunch of Rome Total Wars. I'm gonna try to work on some kind of countdown there. So, but I just got to find the footage I want to use.
Very cool. I appreciate that.
And tons of shorts, tons of them. That's where the real randomness comes in.
Yes, everybody. I recommend his shorts, the videos. I mean, so definitely check those out when you get a chance. He's got a great channel with a lot of content. And PvP, what say you? What's your grade for this episode? And tell us about your channel.
Well, I gave it an A minus. I think it's a good, very good, solid episode. Um, it's got some interesting developments. They start to modify a Smith's character. Um, we get those little dramatic moments with Dawn and Professor Robinson kind of going at each other a bit. I thought the special effects were like I really liked the special effects of the Hungry Sea. I thought they were very very well done. The elliptical orbit of the planet was kind of probably a weak point. I thought
By the
it
way, I know for you guys
typical.
questioning, but elliptical orbits do exist.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying the whole thing with the extreme heat and all the plants
Oh,
burning, and
okay.
then the next day everything's back to full growth. It seems
Yeah,
so.
exactly. It's not the elliptical orbit itself or the
No, the
ellipse
elliptical
itself.
orbit is fine. It's
It's
just
would it really have that effect?
it's the inconsistency with the heat and stuff, right? That's what kind of that's a nitpick, I guess, but
Hmm.
that was one of the weak spots I thought for the episode. But at the same time, though, the elliptical orbit was kind of necessary to drive the plot forward because they never would have crossed the Hungry Sea if it wasn't for the weather, right? Because they thought that was the only way they could survive. So
Yes.
it kind of made sense as far as pushing the story along. So yeah, but yeah, I thought it's a very, very good episode, very solid overall, and yeah, I think the series was still moving along really well at this point. I do like a lot of season one, though. I think season one is a very strong season. So, but yeah, I guess that's about it as far as the episode goes. And oh, my channel, well, rock and roll. Lots of music, lots of music videos. I've got playlists with albums that I enjoy, and basically that's still what it is. Not quite sure when I'm ever going to get around to doing live streams or doing some video content because now, since my hours at work will be going up quite a bit this week and next week, I'm going to have less time, obviously, to be on YouTube, unfortunately. So I'm just going to have to try and figure that out as I go along. But hopefully, one of these days, I'll get some other stuff up there besides just the music.
And yeah, exactly. And we'll get you started on the a kickstart on that live stream. We need to do that soon.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, one of these weeks soon. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, sooner than rather than later, right?
Yeah, I hope so. But it's just like, oh, I got home from work tonight. And I was just so tired. It was one of those long, slow
Oh,
days.
it's okay. All right. I don't expect you to do it on the same night that we're having one of our streams. We'll pick a night where you have the day off so you can
Yeah,
rest up beforehand.
yeah. I'm thinking probably maybe a Friday would probably be the best, or Saturday would probably work too. Uh,
Sounds good. Well, I know a lot of people that are on Doom clocks Friday, so yeah, let's try to shoot for a Saturday.
yeah, okay. But it seems like there's so many streams on now that I just
There
have a
are.
feeling no matter when I go on, I'm going to be conflicting someone else's stream
Well,
somewhere.
That's
you
true.
are.
That's why you've got to go for it anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I'm just not
I
going to
have
worry
found
about it.
right because on nights where I when I do stream up against the big guys, I still have people come in and say, hey, I was on that other big stream, but I thought I'd come in and see yours for a little while. So that does
Yeah,
happen, and I do appreciate when
exactly.
people do that.
Well, I mean, there's another stream on Wednesdays when you're on that. I don't have to mention by name, but probably people know who it is.
And I'm sure there's somebody streaming, some big names that are streaming right now, probably. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
probably could be. Yeah, for sure.
Um, I want to cover the chat really quick. Matt G says, "Hey, when's that picture from? Is that the one from Gorilla Matt G?" Mikey says, "Totally famous Warren Oates, absolutely." And
Yeah.
Warren Oates also died at a relatively young age, unfortunately.
Oh, really? Mhm.
Uh huh. And Matt G says, "LOL Family Feud." Oates did the TV series Rawhide with Erda Clint too. Yes, he did.
I remember that
And
show.
please check out Phantom Movers channel, everybody. There's a link in the chat. And Matt G says nothing like old television. Yes, I love it, and there's plenty of it for us to go back without having to watch all the new garbage they make these days. Phantom Boomer says comes the horseman known as Zorro. Matt G says, Jill, what trick are you covering tomorrow, or are you doing a Small Wonder episode
Small wonder. No, it'll be Friday's Child, season 2.
with Julie Newmar, the beautiful, beautiful Julie Newmar?
Is
Yeah,
that
that's
the
a
one?
fun
And
episode.
No, never mind. I can't remember. I thought it's a different. it's not the. I'm a doctor, not a. I can't remember which one it was.
I'm a
Uh,
doctor, not an escalator.
an escalator.
yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
Escalator.
I was thinking
Yes.
bricklayer, but no, that was a totally different episode.
Before the episode. That was Devil in the Dark.
Uh,
That
And
was
yeah.
Mikey says, I saw this Family Feud TV Stars episode, and Russell Johnson was the worst player from both families. Yeah, but he was very funny, and it's great to see Russell Johnson like he really is.
Mhm.
Huh. Darn those missing coconuts. Mikey says, every cast member, so true, except for Tina Louise. Rest in peace from Gilligan's Island. You're right. Tina Louise is the last surviving cast member. Oops, I had to highlight that first. Duh. Me too, before the stream ended, says Mikey. Oops, don't want to show that. Sean Carter says, hello, all pop. I hope you're feeling better. Hanging in there, Sean, and doing about the same, recovering. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad you could join us. And Mikey says, hi, Sean. Lemon Pie says, hi, Sean. Sean Carter says, hi, Lemon and Mikey. And Phantom Boomer says, it's Sean Carter. And applause. Phantom Boomer says, this bold renegade
I,
carves a Z with his blade. A
I,
Z that stands for Zorro.
I love that
I
theme.
think Sean was waving, not clapping.
That's a great
Clapping.
theme, the Zorro theme.
Waving? Thank you,
Yeah,
Gorilla.
waving. Yeah, waving.
Thank you for correcting me on that. Sean Carter says, hey, Phantom Boomer. And Matt G says, Spaceballs. And then Pi says, thank you, Jill, Pop Gorilla. I'm sorry, thank you, Pop, Jill, Gorilla, and PPP, as well as all
Oh,
the chat for tonight. Well, thank you, Lemon Pie, for sticking out. I know you were the first one here, so
You're
thank you for being
welcome.
here through the whole stream. Mikey says, thank you, gentlemen and young lady panel, for your awesome stream. It was our pleasure, Mikey. I'm glad you could join us. I hope I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. Maybe hit the like button. I have other content out there, and we'll be back again next week with more Lost in Space. Oh, my review. By the way, I'll make it fast because I know it's late. I give this episode. I know I'm going to be the outlier here, but I give it an A+ because I like the action scenes, the special effects, the miniatures, the fact that they started to make more of a dynamic and three-dimensional character for the robot and Dr. Smith, and the way they were able to interweave the original pilot with the new footage. So there's my quick A+ review of this episode. Sean Carter says, and PvP, remember you can always do clips and post them as vids. That is true too. Thank you, Sean. Sean Carter says, Gorilla, a wave is really just a one-handed clap. If you think about it, a silent clap.
yeah.
And Mikey says, already subbed earlier. Well, thank you, Mikey, and welcome to the channel. I appreciate that. And Mikey says, and save this chat stream. All right. Thank you. And I think that's everybody. I usually try to read all the chats. If I did not read anything that any of you guys said, please feel free to yell at me and tell me shame on you and let me know, and I will cover it.
That gets difficult sometimes, and you get more and more chats.
It does, but I do my best, at least for now, because I do appreciate each and every one that comes here.
All right. Oh, and in case anybody's wondering, the Walton's episode we'll be reviewing is season 1, episode 17, "The Love Story."
All right. Hopefully, it's not between Mary Ellen and John Boy, huh?
No,
Just kidding. Just kidding.
when Jenny Pendleton,
Oh boy.
when Jenny Pendleton runs away from home, the Waltons take her in. John Boy and Jenny soon fall in love, but it's not too long before the dream of being together is shattered.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Sounds like a
okay.
tragedy.
Check that out, everybody, on Gorilla's Random Thoughts channel. And I appreciate it once again, 100%. All of you guys for being here for the stream. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And most of all, most importantly, my esteemed fellow panelists, thank you all for being here, specifically and directly, Jill and Gorilla and BBB. Shout you guys out by name. And everybody out there, please check out their wonderful channels. As you guys can tell, they have sparkling, very intelligent personalities, and I highly recommend it.
Oh, Pop, before we go, can I just mention one quick thing? I hope Jill, I hope
Absolutely.
you won't mind, Jill, but Jill's got some fun stuff planned for this coming Friday. I suggested a certain program to her, and she graciously agreed to take a look at that on Friday. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm thinking.
Well, tell us about
Yes.
it. So what is
Yes,
it?
on Friday, it's probably going to be PvP's last time he can join the Friday stream, so I
It
decided
might be,
to
yeah.
give him the chance to choose the topic, and he chose 2 episodes of Avengers, the British TV show.
Oh, the
So
Emma
we're going to
Peel
cover-
collection.
Yes, Emma Peel episodes.
All right, no complaints. I'll try to be there. I'll be working, but I will try to listen on my from the chat while I'm working. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd
that'll
be
be very
great.
cool.
Yeah, please pop, try and stop by. Yeah,
Yeah, I love the
Yes.
Avengers.
yeah, it's one of my favorite shows actually.
And
Oh,
also
and
yes to Mikey. He says
and yes to Mikey.
Jill is Friday's child, the one where Julie Newmar's character names her son after Dr. McCoy.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, he
that's a
tells
good one.
her. He keeps telling her, "Say it's mine. Say it's mine." Pretty much. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, she kind of gets that a little bit mixed up.
Yeah,
So it
that's
is
a
kind of
fun.
funny.
That's a fun McCoy episode for sure. And then what is the end? She names it. What is it? McCoy, partly McCoy's name
McCoy?
and Spock's name, I think. And or no, was it Shatner's Kirk's name? I can't remember, but I
Me
think it's
neither, but
Spock's.
I'm gonna find out in a little
Yeah,
bit. I'm gonna go watch it.
yeah.
Me
But it's
too. I'm
funny.
excited.
It's a funny ending. Good
Okay.
episode.
Well, thank you, everybody in the chat, and thank you most of all, everybody on the panel. And I will see you all tomorrow on Jill's TOS stream. So until then, have a wonderful night. Drive safe tomorrow in peace.